What's up YouTube, Gushy here. In this video we're going to be going over the Marvel's Avengers beta, and I wanted to get this out as soon as possible because for all you PS4 players out there, there's going to be a free open beta this weekend. For those of you on Xbox and PC, if you pre-ordered the game, you can play the beta as well. Other than that, next weekend is open beta for everyone. So the first thing I wanted to go over is what kind of game is this? And so if I had to define this game, it would be a looter beat 'em up. If you're familiar with Destiny, it mimics a lot of the mechanics like the basic game loop, your loot system, and player progression. And I'll explain more of this later on in the video. But first, let's go over what the beta includes. The first part of the game is mostly single player. So when you start off, you're thrown into a couple of story missions, the same thing that was shown at E3 2019. Here, it gives you the opportunity to play as several characters like Captain America and Thor, as well as get introduced to some of the main mechanics throughout the game. At the end of the sequence, you have a boss fight against Taskmaster. After certain events happen, the Avengers split up, and after some time, you start playing as a new character called Kamala Khan. From there, your job is to assemble the Avengers. You could then unlock other characters like Iron Man and Widow to play as. You'll be introduced to this central hub called the Chimera, which is basically a map that shows all your available missions. And there are 3 types within the beta. The first one is called Harm Rooms, or holographic augmented reality machine rooms, and this is similar to Halo's Horde mode, where there's waves and waves of enemies with each wave having increased difficulty. The next are war zones, which you can either matchmake or play with friends or play with AI, and the AI will actually be your characters that you leveled up with your gear and the specific skill sets that you choose. And so these are like little missions where you go from place to place to complete a certain objective. And some of these objectives include a boss fight at the end. War zones could range from around 10 to 30 minutes and contain loot chests to get better gear. And so the third type of missions that you have are drop zones. And these are basically smaller war zone missions. You don't move around as much, the areas kind of repeat, and are more for resource farming. So now that we've talked about what the beta includes, let's talk about what makes this a looter beat 'em up. I compared it to Destiny's loot system, but if you're not familiar with that, there are actually 2 types of leveling systems. The first is your character level, and this differs between which hero you're choosing, so Iron Man would have a different character level than Black Widow. In the beta, the max character level is 15, and with each level that you gain, it gives you a skill point to unlock skills within your skill tree. The next system is your power level, and power level is determined by the gear that you have equipped. In this case, you have 4 slots, and can vary between like chest plates, gauntlets, boots, whatever they are. Each gear has their own power to it. And once you add all the power from your gear equipped, that equals your current power level. Each piece of gear is assigned a certain rarity, which determines how many perks it has and how much times you can increase its power. Uncommon gear has 1 perk and can be upgraded 3 times. Rare gear has 2 perks and can be upgraded 5 times. And then epic and legendary gear has 3 perks and you can upgrade it 10 times. On top of that, I'm pretty sure the perks that you get are random as well. And I would compare it to Borderlands anointed perks, which are random drops. And I'll probably do a video once I get more info on these, but there are interesting effects, like you can do an additional gamma damage or even use pin particles to shrink people. Once I start playing the beta, I can gather more data and find out more information on these perks for you guys. But with all this loot, you can see why this is a looter. And you know there's going to be a lot of grinding involved. And on top of that, they have this battle pass system like Fortnite or COD. And these give you cosmetic items like skins for each different hero. And then minor things like resources to use. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about is the gameplay. And I've heard mixed reviews on the gameplay. Some people have said that it's really button mashy, it's really repetitive. And then other people have said it's really cool because you can do different combos, mixing up abilities, creating builds to synergize with other heroes. So I won't know until I actually play the beta, but let's go over the skill trees. Currently in the beta, you can only use 1 of the 3 available skill trees, and these differ from character to character. And these are kind of like your baseline moves. So Hulk is focused on close range combat, Widow is more of like a hybrid with her guns and close range, and then Iron Man has a lot of ranged abilities. After watching a couple reviews online, I found that most people like these hybrid characters as he can do more things. So if you're playing as the Hulk, you're kind of just stuck to close range combat. And again, when the full game comes out and the other 2 skill trees are opened up, movesets could be opened up a lot and more specific builds can be made. So along with your basic attacks, you also have your heroic moves. And these are your high value skills which, once used, go on a cooldown. There are 3 different types of heroic moves. The first is the ultimate, and these are large, high damage AoE attacks. Next are assault heroics, and these are smaller attacks that can give you advantage in the fight. And then finally, the support heroics. And these actually sound super interesting, like Thor's one in this clip. He uses the Odin Force to make anyone within a certain AoE invulnerable. And so I think there's a lot of potential in the different combos that you can do with multiple heroes. My hope is that it's kind of like Mass Effect where you can use your squad mates to combo abilities together. But I think that's more of like an endgame kind of thing. Speaking of endgame, in a Reddit MMA, they did say that there's going to be endgame raids. And with raids, always comes gear specific loot drops. So you know you're going to be farming for those god tier roles. So right now, I'm pretty skeptical about this game. Overall, I think this game is trying to do just a little too much. They're really trying to target people who love the grind. And so I feel like there's going to be a split between people who are going to play it just for the single player and the story elements of the game, and those who are going to play it long term and who are going to have to just grind for gear along with the battle pass to collect all the skins, and you know there's going to be microtransactions. But I'm optimistic in the depth of the combat system, especially with all the combos that you can use, as well as making different builds with all the different perks that you can get. So with that, if you're going to be playing the beta this weekend, comment down below. If you're learning more about this beta and this helped you out, please give a thumbs up and subscribe, as I'll be releasing a couple more videos about the beta as I play it through this weekend. And as always, thank you for watching, catch you later, and peace.